Hi, everybody. It's DEvangelicals time. Three, two, one, go.
Hello, welcome in. Hi, I'm Sarah, and co-hosting with me is Justin, and today is August 22nd, and welcome to the DEvangelicals. Hello, how's it going?
Very well. I'm excited to be here. It's been a hot minute since we got to do Good Cop, Bad Cop, and I'm starting to feel some of that satanic energy rise up in me, and we're going to have to take care of that.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we it's going to be great. And for anyone excited to do experience some good cop, bad cop, we are here for that. And we are a call-in show. I am leading the show today and making sure that I can see two things at once. So I apologize if it looks like I am toggling back and forth between a few things. But if you would like to call in and talk to us, spectacular, you can just call 720-619-2288. And we would love to talk to you. So yeah, please call in and we'll talk. So hey Justin, how are you?
Hey, not too bad. We last week I was on with Dalton, and shockingly, we got a bunch of really interesting Christian callers.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm hoping we're going to get a repeat for today, but we'll have to see. That nevertheless, yeah, I'm doing well. How are you? Are you prepared for the last bit of our beautiful summer weather to start slowly leaving us?
I am. It has been crazy hot here. I'm so ready for fall. I'm done with the heat. I am ready for fall. Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I had always wondered what season it was. Remember Jesus when he cursed the fig tree? It says it wasn't the season for figs.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I
I was always
suppose.
curious what season that was. I don't know much about figs, but if it was cold outside, it might explain why he was so upset. Or if it was really hot outside and he was just like sweating like crazy, you can see why he'd be so mad. He's cursing an inanimate object.
Yeah, I imagine like really, really oppressive heat would make me super grouchy.
True. But then again, if you lived in the desert with the Kumaran community, you've got a bunch of mikvahs. You can take a bath in cold water pretty frequently.
Oh, well, that's nice. I
Yeah,
would
they were
appreciate
pretty
that.
sanitary.
Nice. That
Yeah.
sounds fun.
And you
Also,
had to because the unclean spirits would take over you if you didn't.
oh, well, there's that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want any unclean spirits.
Mm-mm.
Don't want that. That's so good.
Now, we do take calls from believers and non-believers. For if you haven't seen the show yet, like the other shows, we will take calls from agnostics, believers, non-believers. If you just have like a question, we prioritize the believers, obviously, and we're specifically typically coming on this from a Christian, like an ex-Christian point of view. So if you say are in the Christian religion, or you have left, or you're thinking about what's going on, you're deconstructing. This is a really good place to be. Both Sarah and I have been Christians, or we were Christians for a very long time, and we found our way out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. And I think it is it's a good place to maybe if you are a Christian, but you want to kind of just chat about some more controversial issues in Christianity, we are also happy to do that. If you want to talk more like specific Bible, Hebrew stuff, Justin is your guy. And if you want to talk about like, hey, I'm not sure if this makes sense. What do you think? Then I'm happy to do that.
Although you're really good with relationships and interpersonal advice and things like that. You seem to have a sense for that kind of thing. I don't know if you want to take family advice from me. Oh
um,
no.
You know what? You are very kind and thoughtful to people who come in who want advice. I think you're selling yourself a little short there.
Oh, I try. I try. I care about people. Oh, that's the weird thing is, I was a pastor for a long time. It does feel like in the atheist community, like I'm still kind of pastoring. It's just a different kind of flock. So nobody gets reprimanded for like touching a woman or something. Like that's not a problem.
Well, consensually.
Obviously consensually, yeah. That
Hold
seems to be
on, we
given.
need to put some stipulations on that.
Or for two dudes touching each other, because if you're in the faith, oof, boy, that's one good way to get shunned.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things I didn't really realize, but is so nice on kind of on the other side of this is that it makes you so much more free to just love people exactly who they are and where they are, and you don't have to view people as a project. You don't have to view people as like, oh, well, I like them, but I need to fix them. And that's one of the, I think, nice things about being over here on this side of things.
Yeah, for sure. I do remember, I'm sure you do too, where you're having, I don't know, a public encounter with somebody. You may or may not know them very well. And I used to feel this urge to be like, well, this is an opportunity. If I'm a good Christian, I have to like shoot my shot here.
Right.
And it's super like embarrassing and cringy.
It is. I actually made a video about that the other day where I said, Christians, please stop viewing every stranger as an opportunity. Like, we are not your opportunities. And I don't think Christians maybe realize that we can all tell. Like, if you view me as a project, I can tell.
Right.
And it can poison so many of your relationships.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, like I had a friend that did some a ministry with me, and she was kind of the point. Well, we can't say that we love the person if we don't try to prevent them going to hell. And I get that. That's why a lot of them are so like determined to evangelize. But to me, that's like a really good indicator of why the religion is so toxic. Because if it's true that our motivation is to save people from hell, well, why isn't God motivated to fix it? Why are we the ones that are tasked with friggin' trying to get people not to get torched?
Right. Well, what's interesting though is the switching of what's the word? Not like ownership, responsibility. The shifting of responsibility when you talk to Christians about that, because after you say something like that, like, wow, what a crazy burden to put on humans, then Christians will often say, oh, well, no, it's God's responsibility to actually change people's hearts. I'm just planting the seed.
Right.
And I find that to be a way that Christians can absolve themselves of any expectation to be effective.
Right.
They don't have to be good at it. If they never convert a single soul, it's fine because they can say, well, no, I know I didn't convert anyone in the moment, but I planted all those seeds. And it's sort of like giving themselves credit for doing something, even though they didn't successfully do that thing.
Yeah, actually, that's a fair point. And like I think the other thing too, and you've definitely noticed this, where if you do something, say that might have hurt somebody or affected somebody, in real life, you kind of need to go and like, I don't know, make it right with them. But in Christianity, a lot of people are just kind of okay with asking God for forgiveness and never actually fixing the problem that was created.
Well, right, because you learn that like the problem is that you have hurt God.
Right.
Like that's the crux of the problem. So if you're a jerk to somebody, then you've committed a sin against God. And like, sure, you hurt this human's feelings, but that's not really the problem. The problem is God, and you got to go make it right with God. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why so many Christians say like, oh, wow, you're an atheist. I guess you don't ever have to be accountable for anything ever. You're like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, it's wild.
I am accountable all the time. And because they are only accountable to God, and they don't realize, yeah, we're accountable to each other all the time.
Right. It is weird that, like, and I got this literally just the other day, where somebody said, well, I left the ministry and I left the religion because I wanted to go do stuff that I couldn't if I had stayed in religion. I'm like, I don't get that. The whole religion is based around the idea that Jesus will forgive you for anything. And I know, like, whatever sin you think I wanted to commit, you know there are people in your church doing it. So I'm like, I don't know why you think I would have to leave the religion just to go do the stuff that half of your friends in church are already doing.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It is. That argument doesn't make any sense, but I think it's part of the bigger picture of just trying to blame us for not believing, right? Like our lack of belief, it has to be our fault, and it has to be something that we've done wrong. Right. Otherwise, they don't know what to do with it.
The minute as a Christian you recognize that there are people who no longer believe or they never believed, and it was purely just on rational motives, like they couldn't make sense of it, they didn't think it was true. That is difficult for the Christian, because they are primed in the Bible to believe that, well, the people who don't believe are either, one, misled by the devil, or two, in league with the devil.
How many times have you been called Satan or a demon or something related?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. There was a guy, I think might have been Italian, that used to call in back at like the first year we were streaming, would call in, and he had an Italian accent, and he was definitely Catholic, and he would come up every single time and start by calling me Satan. And then he would get into, once I reprimanded him, would get into the conversation. And then the minute the conversation went south, he'd refuse to engage and then start calling me Satan again. I was like, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing here.
It makes like the perspective from the Christians would be that Satan is unbelievably powerful. Like, Satan is always in your head, convincing you to do things, is so persuasive, and apparently investing a lot more time and energy than God is.
Yeah, that's a fair point. If you look at how successful Satan has been, given that he's not God, wow, he's really on a tear.
I agree. It's strange.
It is weird though too, and I feel like at one point you've talked about this. Isn't it weird that God chose to put Satan in charge down here? Like when the angels fell and slept with the women, he locked them up in chains, and the devil, you would think, did something way worse, but he's just letting them chill. Like he knows. Jesus said that he's prowling around, looking for people to devour. Okay, well, go fix it, Jesus. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I have asked that question multiple times and have never gotten a satisfying answer, because I think so many Christians will not face the fact that Satan only has power if God gave him power.
Right.
Unless you think they are equals and that Satan was able to forcibly take power away from God, which is maybe more interesting. I don't know, that's super biblical, but perhaps more interesting.
Yeah, and if he could, would that not mean that he is some kind of a god?
Absolutely. So then you have to, okay, why would God give Satan all this power over us? It just, often the answer is, well, then we had to be tempted for our free will, and off we go down the free will argument. But it's still not a good answer for why God would do that.
What if God was a deadbeat dad and Sara divorced him, and we're at our 8,000 year visitation with Yahweh, and he's got a really bad babysitter named Satan who's he's like, just fucking try not to kill every one of them. I got to go drink. And he's just been just slumming it right now.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, he is certainly not a very present father.
No.
Also, I like that you and I have like dueling off-brand Diet Coke cans.
Why would you spend money on a name brand cola when you can just get Faygo?
Mine is Big K Diet Cola.
That's what's up.
Oh, that's
This was a staple growing up. I think we have one caller in queue, if I'm not mistaken. We had at some point three of them. I think we lost
it's
two
all
of them,
the
but I do think we had at
same
least one.
person, but it still says unscreened. So,
Oh, you're right.
yeah.
Queued and unscreened.
So, yeah, I think we have to wait until.
They're in the call queue. We just pull them up. It's okay. On TikTok, we don't screen anybody.
I mean, that's true. I did not want to, do things the wrong way or out of order. I don't know. I don't make the rules.
True. You just follow them.
Even now, I'm such a rule follower.
So true. You can never be a bad cop. It would never work.
That's true. I would be the worst bad cop. Okay. Well, Lux, can we pull this person in? See, I have to ask for permission. It's all of that, like, I don't know how you got through all of those years of Christianity and you don't still have this voice that tells you, like, you have to follow the rules and you have to be good. I still have that.
You know what? This is my hypothesis. I don't think Christianity gave that to you. I think that was something developed because I was never much of a rule follower. And when I came into Christianity, I tried, and it was hard.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's an interesting hypothesis then.
I needed to go to confession.
I believe you.
Oh, no. For those who don't have a Catholic background, confession can be fun, especially when you're a kid, if you make up fake things that you did.
Oh my God, I would never do that.
You wouldn't. I would. I told you. See, that's why you can't be the bad cop.
That's true. All right, I'll be a rule breaker here. Let's see what happens when I press answer. Are you ready?
I believe in you.
Okay. Hello, Bridget?
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Have a small thing to add. Oh, it's going all right. I do have a small thing to add to your little data point there, which is I also have the little voice in the back of my head that wants to be a rule follower, and I've never been a Christian, so.
Well, there you go. I do think it makes sense that some of us are just kind of wired that way, for sure.
Yeah, funny enough, I was taking a psychology course when I think I figured out why I was wired that way, which was object relations. But that's probably a long chat, not why I called. So,
yeah, what can we do for you?
So, as mentioned, I'm never been a Christian, and I've recently been fascinated by an idea that I realized I have no way of knowing, and it's not something I feel like I can Google because it is just, I'm going to get so many biased answers, and I feel like you two would actually probably have a lot more insight onto the topic, which is that, I've never been a Christian, and I've never really been to church or that kind of community, and, I've always kind of, while I'm not as educated, I've always kind of had a bit more of the Matt kind of perspective on things, the rational, or the epistemology kind of outlook on it, like what's true is true, how do I know what's true? And so whenever I talk to religious people about it, I've always kind of like wanted to know how it was true. And so that's kept me on the atheist side all this time.
Sure.
But I've I'm having this moment right now where I'm a bit older, and even though I'm still not I'm not feeling any different on the belief side, but it made me wonder if the church is a place that I would find a good community, because there's always so many people arguing that, and
Well, I
having
feel
never been there, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, an issue you will find is that the thing that brings people together in church is their shared belief, and then they build community around that. So, on one hand, it is a great place to meet a lot of people and see a lot of people frequently. You see them every Sunday at church, and if you're in a church where you do some kind of small group, then you see your small group every week. And so it can be a great community that way. However, I think just about all of us who were Christians and now we aren't, we all left. And it's because you can't really be a part of that community if you don't share that belief. Every time that church community gets together, all they want to do is, they're going to talk about their belief in God and how God is shaping their lives and worshiping God. And if you don't share that same core belief, I think you would really struggle to enjoy or get a lot out of that community.
I see. Yeah, that does make sense on one side. Because one thought that occurred to me is, um, and I wasn't sure if I was deluding myself here, was that, is that if I were to go to a church and just lie and say I was a believer, I imagine the dopamine high would be immense, because it's probably like everyone there would just be like so excited to see like someone joining the flock. And whether I believed or not, I imagine that would be like an intense experience. And the thought that occurred to me was that, like, I don't actually know how that goes. Like, I might be completely wrong. I don't know. Like, maybe they don't like celebrate it as much as I think. Maybe it wouldn't be good. But
I mean, I
bring
don't
up
think
the other point.
like when you join a church, it depends on the size of the church, and uh, but new people joining churches is very common. So unless it's a teeny tiny church, it will not be like a big celebration, probably, that maybe you're thinking about.
So there probably was a bit of self-delusion there.
Well, listen, is there I hope that was helpful, but is that basically your question here for us, that just kind of wondering about whether it would be a good community for you?
Well, it's just in general, I guess, because I didn't really, like I said, I've never really been to a church in that sense, so I didn't, I don't really have a thing to pull for, and like I said, it's not something I could Google in that sense, because if I Google, like, how is a new church experience, I feel like I would have been flooded with 1,000 things that would be, just like every direction, that it would be hard to trust sources on that one,
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you can always go and see what it's like. But yeah, my recommendation would be that it's not long term going to be a very satisfying experience.
Right.
Yeah. Anything to add, Justin?
Well, I was kind of thinking, the thing we were talking about earlier, if you do go to church trying to form community, there's a really good possibility that those are not going to be real friendships. They're going to look at you like a project, and you're not going to really find the meaningful connection that you're looking for. And I had a friend who was in the deconstruction community a number of years ago when I first got on TikTok, and he started going back to church because there was a group that had a podcast, and he did video editing, and they wanted him to do the video editing. So they were friends. He started going to church with them from time to time, and before you know it, he started to get the feels, and he went back to the church. And then 6 months after that, he's like, actually, I was a little emotional, and then he had to slowly step away. So it could. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying there's always that possibility that when you're there, you'll start getting this feeling like, oh, maybe this is true. And that to me, that's just the other side of the coin of being turned into a project, because they think you're there because they need to save you.
Fair enough. It didn't occur to me that they really is all they would talk about is church, is like Jesus stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what everything will center around. Yup.
I guess it's hard for me to think about it that way because I've never really thought about anything that way.
Well, yeah. Well, it'll be an experience if you want to go try it. But I appreciate you calling in. Thanks so much for your time.
If I can say one last note, just as my own personal anecdote, it was when I was about 15 that I became an atheist, because it was in high school and I took an elective to read mythology. And the moment I realized every part of the world had a creation story was the moment I went, oh.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself, like, why trust the biblical version versus these other versions?
Yeah, that was the moment I turned into an atheist personally. So.
Yeah,
I get that.
All right.
Alrighty, have a great night.
Listening. Take care. Thanks for helping.
You betcha.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Take care.
All right. If anyone else would love to call in, I feel like, oh wait, too many buttons here. Someone's trying to cause a ruckus in the comments. I think you can call in. If you would like to call in and talk to us, especially if you are a believer, just call 720-619-2288. And we're happy to talk to you about your perspective, and about your beliefs.
Yeah, I was intrigued that somebody like Bridget, who doesn't have a background in church, it seems, would be intrigued by the idea of going just for community.
Yeah, that actually makes sense to me, because it's like, if you've never been part of this thing, and so many people that are part of this thing, I can absolutely understand wanting to experience it, or like,
Right.
What is this? I mean, all these people seem to like it. I don't know. Maybe I'd like it. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me so much, that there would at least be some curiosity.
Yeah, I get that. And to be fair, I had a lot of good friends from church. In fact, I mean, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to go to church and no one's going to turn me into a project. But I they know me too much for that. I'm way more stubborn than they are. But the thing of it is, I don't feel worried about going back to church just to visit with friends, and I think that's perfectly okay as long as you're comfortable and safe with it.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think if either one of us were to attend church, we would be very aware of what was happening and why. And if that's what we chose to do, then it would be fine.
Yeah. Well, I think we got somebody being screened currently. And
yes.
Did the Did the keyboard warrior in the chat request up yet? I don't think they have.
I don't think the names match.
Mm-mm,
Yeah.
no.
The person in the comments was making a oh my gosh, I cannot think of the most normal words. They just like slip out of my brain. What's the argument where everything's in the right place? Like a fine-tuned argument.
Fine tuning, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Oh,
love a fine tuned argument.
oh, well, yeah. Come on up. I forgot his name already. But we do have someone. This is William, is a theist. Excuse me. William, hello.
Hey, how you
Welcome
guys
on to the
doing?
Hi. How are you?
Good. The last caller just hit a topic. I'm a former atheist, turned theist, and I go to a hip, cool church here in Dallas called the Heights Church. And the question was, I'm not a Christian. Should I go to church even though I'm not a Christian? And the reason I go, and I have been going for a year now, is these guys, we go to a Tuesday night men's group, and they're in such a bubble. They have no clue about apologetics. They have no clue how to put Jesus in history. They don't really know who they believe in. So I'm there to inform them. Right now, we're studying the book of Job, and I'm sure you're familiar with the passage that God kills his children, his camels, and sheep and whatnot, and then gives them new children. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
And it's probably the worst verse in the Bible, because I said, look, those homely children, I had to kill them because you want good-looking children. So, for me, I never really read it that closely, but it says God gave them 3 new children that were the most beautiful children ever. It's just so ridiculous, but they're so brainwashed and so in the bubble, and there's just this silent expectation you do not question the Bible. And so I told them that, first of all, that's horrible what God did. And a few people said, yeah, man, I can see what you're saying. But nobody's going to speak up. So the reason I go is to educate them, is to inform them. And, they'll never get out of their bubble. Does that make sense?
Holy.
So they are your project?
That's what it sounds like, right?
Of course. They don't know anything about scholarship, Dale Allison, Bart Ehrman, whatever. They just are clueless. Now, they'll know their Bible, a lot of them somewhat, but they don't know that there's only 7 letters of Paul. They don't know about that Moses didn't write the Pentateuch, about P and J. They don't know anything. So, and I've been kicked out of several churches. One time I went to a church called Watermark here in Dallas, and they might still have it called Great Questions. So you can ask questions, just don't ask too good a question. So I went there, and they had this guy there, and it became apparent that he goes, look, we can't have you in here anymore. You just, your questions are too burning, too difficult, and we're going to have to get you to leave. And I went, oh, that's a security guard. I'm such a threat that you have security to usher me out. So my thought to atheists is, you're never going to reach these people. They're never going to watch your show. They're never going to read your books. But if you go to a Sunday school class, it doesn't cost anything. And don't go to the service. That's just a waste of time. But if you go to by the way, they're not Sunday school classes anymore. That's not cool enough. They're life groups. The consultants have come in and said, hey, forget the Baptist crap and all that. If you want to, reach, you got to be seeker sensitive. And
So you are a theist, is that correct?
yeah, and it's mostly because of the fine tuning and, reading Luke Barnes' book, Fortunate Universe, which is a very difficult book, but there's so much things in physics that have to go right that it just seemed to imply a creator, and things like the Cambrian explosion, where the major file, like echinoderm chordates, like brachiopods, or whatever, all these things don't seem to have any really good precursors in the Precambrian.
Well, I have a lot of things going through my mind right now. I guess I would not find it ethical to go to a life group with the purpose of poking holes in their religion, unless I announced myself as an atheist and told them that's what I was coming to do.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And I told them right up, I want to be right up front with you guys. I am, I see it that I am not a Christian like you guys. Now, I didn't tell them they're all deluded and nuts, which I think and believe, but as long as you're transparent, and I've gone to Dinosaur Adventureland, and I told them right up front when I was an atheist, I said, look, I'm an atheist. And they said, come on, we love that. We'll put you on our show and everything. And they were nice as they could be to me. They fed me dinner and just couldn't be nicer. But as long as you're honest and upfront with people, and their job is to convert you and save you from an eternal damnation, right? What if you're going to them? I mean, what better way, right?
As long as everyone is on board. Justin, do you want to talk about fine tuning a little bit?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the fine tuning argument. I heard even close friends of mine say that the fine tuning argument it could be convincing if it was done right, but to me, the problem I have with fine tuning is like no matter what the odds are of any of the things being right to produce what we have now, that would be true of anything. Like if any of the numbers were tweaked and we didn't have what we had right now, well, whoever was there would be like, wow, look, it could have been anything else, but here we are. It's finely tuned. So I don't know if that's meaningful. What would be meaningful is if there was an astronomically high probability that something wouldn't happen or that something could happen, that's only ever meaningful if somebody is attempting to do it, right? So if I said, I'm going to win the lottery 100 times in a row, if I did that, either there's some sort of miracle afoot or I'm cheating, right? But if in fact I win, if I told you that, if in fact I win the lottery and I had no plans to win the lottery, well, now it's just a really crazy coincidence, right? Same thing with like a deck of cards. There's so many ways you can organize a deck of cards. But if I just throw them on the ground and they end up in that order, while it's, astronomically large probability that it would end up in that order, it's still meaningless. All I did was throw them on the ground. But if I threw them on the ground and said, listen, they're going to show up in this particular order, and I told you all 52 cards, and then it was that order, well, now this is like really wild. This is not a coincidence anymore. So to me, the fine-tuning lacks one problem, is it just assumes that human life somehow was the goal of the universe. But you have to have a goal setter before you can have a goal.
Well, that's a good point. And give you an example. Sometimes time is your enemy. Like in the origin of life, these nucleic acids and stuff decay, if you don't go into the next step or whatever. And for example, the odds of getting one protein, they say, with 150 amino acids is into the 77. Well, that's just saying it's basically impossible. And it's not only that, you have the codons that, they replace the thymine with uracil. And those codons, like
it would
the
be
AUG,
impossible if they happened all at once.
Yeah, it's not impossible at all.
Well, no, I'm just telling you what the Discovery Institute said. Okay.
Oh,
I know you guys
none
have
of us
problems
agree.
with it, but
None of us agree with the Discovery Institute. So don't worry about what the Discovery Institute says.
okay, well, it's not only them, obviously. Oz over there at Reasons to Believe has written a book on the cell, and it's just the probability. You got to get a membrane, a bilayer membrane, and I understand you can have a proto.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got to stop you here, William. So you are not a Christian, but you are learning about evolutionary biology from the Discovery Institute?
Of course, don't you read Evolution News? No, they obviously the Discovery Institute is highly biased and they have an agenda. But
Right.
but I did listen to way too much than I care to Professor Dave and what's his name, James Ford. They're different arguments, and they both have excellent arguments. And I understand that you can just have the most basic eye or whatever, or well, and it can just evolve into a more complex layer. And the evidence for evolution is astounding with the genetics and the cladistics, and the nested hierarchies are just unbelievable proof. And the biggest one, the killer, is you're probably familiar with endogenous retroviruses.
We all agree that evolution is true. So I guess I'm not. It sounded like you were making an argument that you don't think evolution could happen, but now you're saying you do think evolution happens. I'm confused as to what
it happens.
Well, no,
but what I'm
William,
saying,
wait, hang on, William. What do you personally think?
I'll tell you, you have a billion years to get a eukaryotic cell with a nucleus, okay? So that makes sense more under naturalism. Why would God take a billion years to get a nucleus? I mean, it's ridiculous. But you have the Cambrian, where you have the major phyla, about 20 or whatever, that just suddenly, like, how do you get a chordate? How do you get a trilobite with an exoskeleton?
So you do or do not accept evolution? I'm not. I think maybe I'm not asking you to walk us through each part of evolution. Like, do you think evolution is the explanation or not?
I believe that God intervened in some parts. To give you an example, another example.
No, I gotcha. Yeah, so I understand. Okay, so if you believe that there are parts that you personally don't understand, then you're saying evolution sort of happened, but God also intervened at some points. And it sounds like those some points, the places where you think God intervened, you're getting that information from places like the Discovery Institute. Have you heard from
a variety of places? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask if you,
obviously, yeah. Go ahead.
If you have heard this from the majority of practicing evolutionary biologists.
Well, they'll say there's problems, like Tiktaalik, 375 million years ago during the late Silurian, early Devonian. It rolls from the sea to the land, where you have to have, it had the lung capacity, sure, but you also have the skin that has to be adapted to land. The eyes were good for water, marine life, but environment, but not for a terrestrial environment. And the flippers.
So did you learn
they can go
that?
And waddle on land.
I'm asking you, William. I'm not asking you to repeat this information. I'm asking you where you learned it. Did you learn this information?
Apart from reasons to believe Boz, who's the president or whatever. These are older creationists. These are people that see, they don't believe in evolution, but they see the evidences for it, and they're reasonable people. They understand the science. They read nature. Where anthropogenists, are just going to have, well, they believe 6,000 year guys, so you can't even talk to them. But
I guess I'm not understanding, why are you going to reasons to believe instead of the majority of practicing scientists?
Oh, are you kidding? I would listen to, what's her name? I would just listen to Good Gibbon for 2 hours today. He did a great video on evolution.
Okay.
So there's compelling evidence of evolution. Obviously, the endogenous retroviruses, those viruses are on the same place on the genome as chimpanzees as humans, so it implies a common ancestor. And Francis Collins, who wrote The Language of God, a practicing Christian, no way was there one Adam and Eve. There's too much diversity. The human population never got below 1,200. We had a bottleneck. We almost didn't make it as a species.
Okay, so again,
yeah,
that doesn't really answer my question. So if you want to know what the best scientists are finding, I'm still not understanding why you are going to a source that has such a blatant agenda. Why go to reasons to believe ever?
Obviously you go to the obviously you go to people who real PhDs from real universities who are evolutionary biologists. Obviously, that's your first step. But then, you will go to, people like Oz with reasons to believe that have legitimate PhDs in biology and so forth that can make some compelling points.
Well, I would have to disagree that they are compelling.
Totally. Yeah, you read Nature, you read science. Okay, well, that might be too strong a word. Okay, interesting. Can I say interesting?
Yeah, it just sounds like perhaps you are.
Anyway. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry. You started talking. I was letting you finish.
Oh,
but
it sounds like it's an overload of information. I'm like, my God, you've got to know genetics. Genetics is the key.
Yeah, yes, I do know genetics. So yep. All right. Well, listen, William, we have got another call, so I am gonna let you go. But thank you for taking the time to call in.
Yeah, and let me know how your visit to Sunday or Life Group goes, okay? Just go to a hip, cool church. They'll love you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'm a little sad he didn't engage in the fine-tuning argument. I guess he just didn't want to. He wasn't really interested in debating the fine-tuning argument. I get that.
I don't think he was interested in actually debating anything.
Nah.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to say what he knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The fine-tuning argument to me is a really weird one. I'm not entirely sure that I understand why other people could find it convincing. Maybe next time I get the argument, I can ask them, what about it makes it convincing to you?
Yeah. Well, we do have another caller. This is Aiden. From Delaware, I think that's what DE is.
Yeah.
Aiden, hello, welcome in.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey, thank you. Good. Yeah, long-time listener. Called in probably about a year ago, early on in my deconstruction. But yeah, I'd say I'm probably 99% there. I just had one sort of bug in my brain that keeps itching. It's sort of like I get, I'm on board with deconstruction. Okay, I'm convinced evolution is true. Pretty convinced every major religion is, falsifiable in many ways. But then my next question is sort of okay, well, what is the best alternative, right? Because I remember I was listening to some historian. He was basically throughout history, science has sort of functioned as the, truth discovery, whereas religion / philosophy kind of fills the narratives that society structures around, right? So it's if you just go purely science, can you really build a meaningful and functional, society, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So
I guess that's kind of the itch.
I do think that is also why, as humans, we really like to interact with the arts. We make music, we write stories, we create works of art, and we spend time talking about and enjoying relationships and love with each other. And I think that we can use other mechanisms to tell our stories, to relate to each other, and that can function, fill the same function that religion did. So I do think that there are other ways to find like joy and purpose and meaning that are not religion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I get the sort of like the personal meaning, like everyone gets to kind of define that, like that I get, that's cool. But then when I think about like, okay, at a macro level, right? Like if I just want to like structure a system, like build a model of like getting a bunch of human beings to thrive and survive, you know, get on the same page. Like all I'm kind of left with right now is sort of like vibes based, right? It's sort of like, okay, I feel like it's wrong to do X. Some other guy feels like it's fine. You know, where like, okay, so we just use science to determine X or Y, right? Because then, you know, again, this is a little far out there.
Well, you could still have philosophy. I mean, you know, technically the majority of philosophers don't believe in a God at all. You know, so if you're looking for how do I describe or how do I don't know, make meaning from the world, you still do have philosophy, and there's, you know, secular humanism, which is a way of creating guideposts. So I think those are not simply individual mechanisms, but can be societal wide mechanisms.
Yeah, true. I mean, I agree. I think on average, I think people sort of fall into that, right? Like secular humanism seems to be kind of like the vague default, at least for like sort of modern Western societies. But at the end of the day, it's still just kind of vibes based, right? It's like, okay, enough people sort of feel that this is like the right thing versus the wrong thing. Therefore, we go with it, right?
It's not vibes based. I mean, what you're doing is you can evaluate the part of it that can be objective is that you can objectively evaluate how your actions affect other people, and you can objectively evaluate how certain actions ripple effect into a greater society, into the greater society. And so it's not just that you're like, hey, I kind of feel like murder is bad. It's that we can measure the actual effects of taking life. And we can learn from both observation and experimentation what kinds of actions help the society and what kind of actions harm society. So it isn't simply vibes, but we actually do have evidence that will support principles of secular humanism.
Yeah, I mean, I think to some degree, but again, murder is sort of like context specific too, right? Like, yes, it's wrong to murder the guy that's, you know, living next to you. But if he happens to be, you know, a citizen of a country you're at war with, then all of a sudden we're talking about something else, right? And so,
but that's the same
also,
is true
again,
of religion. Like, I guess I'm not sure why you think that wasn't true previously. You know, with religion, I mean, different religions have different interpretations, but certainly within Christianity, I mean, there is no one action that is morally bad if God commands it. So, I mean, you're left with an even more subjective moral system.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm definitely not on board with the sort of the models put forth by like the major religions. I think they're pretty flawed. But I guess my itch is sort of like, yeah, we can replace it with, I guess, some sort of like philosophical framework that we is like kind of doing a lot of heavy lifting there, right? It's sort of like, yeah, we can replace it with something, but like, what is the quote unquote, correct thing to replace it with, right? Like, for example, and again, this is kind of wild.
What if there's not a correct thing?
I'll just throw. Right, I think that's kind of like where my brain has a little itch, right? Because I naturally just want this sort of like, okay, yeah, deconstruction, religion bad, great. What's the correct answer now, right? I guess that's where my brain wants to go, and I'm like, I haven't really found like a very convincing, framework to replace it. If that makes sense. And I'm just kind of left with like, okay, well, whatever I sort of like feel like is the right thing, right? That's what I'm left with.
I mean, I definitely understand that.
It's just brain rambling, but
I think, and for people who were religious for a long time, our brains get kind of organized into correct and incorrect, right and wrong, and wanting things to be kind of in black and white. And it is very disconcerting when things are not. And so I absolutely empathize with the desire to like, okay, if I'm not getting like my list of do's and don'ts or my correct and incorrect from God, fine, but I need to get that from something else. And I think what Justin is asking is like, what if the whole world is maybe more subjective than we thought, and there isn't a right answer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's sort of the only option left, right? But yeah, I don't know. Just sort of my random ramblings. Also, one last crazy idea. So here's something that's been kind of bothering me too. I recently read and this is kind of crazy. You may have heard of this sort of like pro-extinction movement, but it's basically like this philosophical framework that's basically based around the idea that like, okay, suffering is inevitable. It's sort of like the Thanos thesis, right? Like, suffering's inevitable, therefore logically the only way to end all suffering is to find some way to like cause, extinction of all what we consider life, right? And like for me it's like, okay, well, if we're just going with like purely reason-based, logical, if P then Q thinking, then it can be kind of, you get caught in the weeds like that, right? So it's like for me, I can't like purely replace a sort of religious framework with just like purely science reason based, right? It has to kind of go into, I guess, what we were talking about, which is sort of like,
that framework is not purely reason, though. It's missing a big piece of the puzzle. So if you want to reason, yes, if you eliminate all life, you eliminate all suffering, but you also eliminate all joy and all love. And so I would say that would be incomplete reasoning. If you also value love and connection and joy, then it would not be a logical endpoint to say we must eliminate all life.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely overweights suffering, right? Like the argument would be, well, there is no amount of joy and or, enjoying, a slice of pizza that could outweigh the, the unspeakable horrors that happen every day and will continue to happen, right? So, yeah, the counter argument is, okay, well, you're leaving out the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sold on that, but it's just interesting to me that it's like, I'd love to fill that hole with, science, reason, logic, which I tend to do, but.
Well, I would encourage you to dive into secular humanism a little bit more, perhaps. You might find that it gives you maybe a little bit more than you had originally thought. It might be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for bearing with my crazy talk. But
it's fine.
What you guys do means a lot. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm happy you called in.
Yep. All right.
Have a good night.
Cheers, Fred.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not an uncommon place to be though. Like to, like, okay, wait, I lost all of this of how I looked at the world. What lens do I look at the world through now?
Right.
Yeah.
It's tough once you lose your worldview, the way that you're used to doing things. It can definitely be difficult to figure out, like, well, this was my lens, and now I'm kind of blind. I needed a new lens.
Mm-hmm.
What do I put there? And that's a tricky one.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we have another call. This is Irene, who is agnostic. Oh, wait, did I press the right button? Answer. Here we go. Welcome in.
Hi.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm doing just fine. It's 1 a.m. here, so bit of insomnia.
Wow. Well, thanks for calling in so late your time.
Yeah, I enjoyed the show.
Wonderful. What can we do for you?
I missed your name because I know I've seen plenty of Justin, but I don't know you.
Oh, my name is Sara.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
So
Great to meet you.
I called in because come again?
It's a great to see you.
Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. So I called in because I believe I've been coming up with an hypothesis of multidimensional space-time. It would be like a 5D. It like the original hypothesis wouldn't be mine. It's based on the hypertoroid, the hypertoroid hypothesis, which is, I would admit, unfalsifiable for now with our current technology. But I would come about it with slightly a different approach. I am super deterministic, so I would say that there's an unbroken causation that denies Copenhagen interpretation of quantum effects, and heading straight to the model I would be presenting. The cosmos would be a 5D universe, which with basically 3 dimensions of space, the 1 dimension of time, and another computational dimension. The shape of this universe would be a toroid shape, a 5D toroid shape, but with a point of origin that I would call the convergence of Azathoth. This computational point of origin.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm not
go ahead,
quite
Sara.
following. Are you making it? You said you have a hypothesis for, I guess, an explanation of the universe. And is this
cosmological explanation? Yeah, I'm writing a paper. I'm currently projecting the math and physics of the model and the implications, moral implication,
okay.
even rereading the scriptures in light of this model, and so on and so forth.
Could you tell me you said the moral implications? Could you tell me what those would be?
The moral implication would be, well, this is a computational engine. So the singularity with infinite mass at the center of the cosmos would be not like a god in a traditional sense. It would be just the infinite amount of mass that produces all possible universes that are all of them super deterministic, and it would be an absolutely static universe. So like it is somewhat like a block universe as portrayed by Einstein, etc. But in this case,
so could you tell me
it wouldn't be just
the moral implications then?
Yeah, the moral implication. The moral implication would be that, well, this entity, if you want to call it that, it would be more appropriate to call it singularity, doesn't really care, and its acts of procreation of matter and of the cosmos wouldn't be not even a conscious effort, but just an emanation of.
Okay, so your conclusion. I'm sorry. So your conclusion would be that you are mathematically mapping that there was some sort of like start or creation to the universe, but that this is not actually a god in the sense that we would understand.
Because, I mean, there's a dimension of time, but this is a static model. So
I'm sorry. I'm trying to connect it to our conversation here rather than getting into the weeds of what your model is. I'm wanting to understand how this affects our interpretation of whether there is or is not a God and what that means. So if I'm understanding you correctly, that you're saying there is not a personal, conscious, thinking God. Is that correct?
No, that there's a point of origin that has infinite mass and computational capability at the center of this cosmos. But you got to understand that it's not a center. It's a center of a 5D object, so it wouldn't be like the center of the visible universe. It would be its point of origin and its point of destination.
So then, what if
it would be kind of
rather than wait? I'm sorry, Irene, I got to stop you.
If you want, Go ahead, Sara.
Rather than getting into the details of your model, because I don't think any of us are following the model. So let's say we accept your model. So now my question is, what are the practical implications of your model? Let's get to that part of it.
Okay, I do think that there could be some point of accessibility. Of course, you cannot download infinite data within finite conscience, if you want. No, we are not able to contain the assets of singularity and whole of our universe within ourselves. But I do believe that this model would allow for perceiving, at least through chemical processes, the oceanicity or the oneness within the that within this space, this cosmos. And I have some empirical data to back this. That would be, I don't know if you are familiar with the concepts of DMN or MDN.
So, Irene, I guess I'm still trying to kind of land the plane here. So are you claiming, or I mean, it sounds like you're saying that there's some kind of universal energy that we can connect to. And again, I'm trying to get to the point of, do you have something novel, or is this do you think this affects our lives in any way? Or are you more saying that you are saying like, yeah, there's no God and we can't really perceive this God? Or I guess, can you get to all the way to the end? Tell me your final thesis.
My final thesis, I mean, there's plenty of theses. Like I wrote 25 pages in this paper.
No, that's not what I mean.
I would be happy to share it, but
what are you hoping to? What are you hoping to tell us in one sentence? What do you want us to take away from what you have to say?
That the one implication, one moral and practical implication of this is that there are these two networks that exist within our brain, our neurocomputational system, that are called the default mode network, DMN, or multiple demand network, the latter. And basically, the default mode network is what constitutes it's the network that allows you to have a sense of self, of volition, of doing things for your own survival and your own good, or planning, etc. Okay. The other, my mouth is super dry. The other.
Are you following this? Because I am not following this conversation at all. I'm really struggling to keep up.
I think maybe, Irene, you have an interesting idea, but we are perhaps not the target audience for that idea. So I think I appreciate you calling in, but I think we're gonna have to end the conversation.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
But I hope you have
a wonderful rest of your night.
All right. You too.
Bye. Yeah, I don't know. I tried.
The double whammy, because there was obviously science jargon, but also the communication barrier. And so it does make it a little more difficult to keep track, you know?
Yes. But we do have another caller. This is Carter from Alaska. Hello, Carter. Welcome to the DEvangelicals. I'm Sara. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good.
What can we do for you?
I really enjoy watching you guys. You guys are very knowledgeable when it comes to this. And I appreciate it. I appreciate listening to you guys. Yeah. So I was debating a TikTok apologist the other day, and he brought up the apologetic that there's no logic without God, that any reasoning for consistency is circular, if that makes sense. Saying that things will be the same as they were yesterday because they were the same they were yesterday, and yesterday is just circular. I was wondering if that's just an axiom that you hold, that things are consistent because they are, or if there's a better explanation, a better secular explanation for that.
Go for it, Justin.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a form of tag, right? They're just saying we have this transcendental category and it needs grounded in something. But the reality is logic doesn't exist. So there's a fallacy called reification, where you take an abstract idea and you try to turn it into a concrete, like into a noun, a thing, and that's not what logic is. Logic is describing the process of what our brains do. And so while our brains are making communication and it's, we're using words to describe the universe around us, those are all just processes. There is no logic. Like you'll never put logic in a bucket. You can't collect logic. Logic is really just describing how our brains are processing the world. And if you even look at logic, look at the basic 3 laws of logic, right? So the law of identity, that is a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I mean, it's a camera because I called it a camera. There's no transcendental logic in the universe that makes that a camera. It's just a camera because I pointed at it and I said camera. That's it. Now, since I said that it is a camera, well, it can't be not a camera because I said that it's a camera, right? So the laws of logic are really just explaining, honestly, how we identify a thing. And that's about it. The third law of logic is a little bit different. If you have a proposition, it can either be true or false, but it can't be true or false. So that's there. So, but these are obvious things you can just come up with by observing and using language.
Yeah.
So when they press you, well, you can't have logic. Why? First of all, prove that logic even exists. And they're going to say, well, you're using it right now.
And that's kind of what I did.
I'm not using it.
Right.
I'm engaging in a process that we call logic. I'm not using logic, right? Like if I said, well, there's no keyboards as I'm typing my chat saying there's no keyboards, then you can say, well, yeah, there is, you're typing on it, right? But if we're saying actually mental keyboards exist, and I know it because you're using it before you type to your real keyboard, I'm like, no, that's not real, right? So when they say that kind of thing, just go back and say, nope, you're using a reification fallacy. You're trying to take an abstract idea and just turn it into a concrete object, and I won't let you do it. And then if they don't know what the fallacy is, I'd redirect them to it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And that's kind of where I went with it, was saying that he was using the presuppositional argument for God, right? Like he exists because he has to, and if I'm getting that right or whatever. And that's where I kind of pressured him on, was like, well, when in that infinite loop of, well, God's real because there's abstract things. And I was like, define one. And he went to morals, right? He's like, well, everybody has morals, and they have to come from somewhere. And that's where they hung up on me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
every transcendental category they're going to think of. Yeah, you're right. Every one of these transcendental categories, just press them on it. I don't think that actually exists.
Yep.
They'll say, well, does knowledge exist? No, knowledge isn't a thing. Knowledge is the process of our synapses, saving what we might consider information, but it's not a thing that exists. You can't gain knowledge as though it's a thing. So, I don't know. Every one of these transcendental categories is just a desperate attempt to find something that's immaterial that they can point to and say, we've got this transcendental universal. How could we ground this? In reality, if they're desperate for some sort of universal transcendental category, they got to start looking at quantum physics and field theory.
Right. Yeah. So then I guess that all of our secular reasoning comes from the axiom that the world exists, right? Reality exists outside of us, and then you can make observations from there. Is that kind of where you go with it? Because then at that point, they'd say that, well, then you can't prove anything, and nothing matters and all that, right?
Well, 100%. If you get to the point where you say, well, you can't prove anything, you'd say, yeah, that's why hard solipsism is a real problem. But it's a problem in both of our worldviews, right? So you, the believer, can't know anything either, because God could literally just be deceiving you. He could literally just make it so that all of your experiences are actually just wrong. And everything is imagined. You're actually in a dream state, right? So that's the problem with the God worldview. Is you have that argument. Yeah, you have no idea if you're not a brain in a vat. So anytime they slip into solipsism, just turn it around and say, well, how do you know that you're not a brain in a vat? And they'll never be able to say it. They'll say something like, well, I know it because God exists. Like, no, that's the thing you're trying to prove. So you can't just claim it as the reason why you know that you're not a brain in a vat. And if we're just making up solutions, cool. Well, I'm just going to make up a solution. It's the anti-vat. It's a universal force in the universe, and it makes it so that I'm not a brain in a vat. See, I can make up things too.
Yeah, exactly. No, that actually helps a lot. I think I still held the belief that logic exists strongly. I think I was still, was still something I was hung up on. Like, obviously, like, truth, I understand, is just a value we give to how close something is to reality. You know, morality is subjective, and we can, move towards the best for humanity, but, it's not objective. But I think I still had logic as a thing, right? And not just a language. Right. And I think that's where my hang up was.
Okay, sure.
But I appreciate that. That helps out a lot, actually.
Awesome. Hey, sure thing, man. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
You bet. Thanks for calling in.
You guys keep doing it. I've been deconstructing, and this has been the most helpful talk show. So.
Oh, awesome. Glad to hear it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys have a good one. I appreciate it.
Bye.
You too.
It's always nice to hear that things are helpful.
Right. Yes.
I do always appreciate hearing that. Okay, we do have a theist to call in. This is Joe from South Carolina. Joe, hello. Welcome into the DEvangelicals. You are talking to Sara and Justin. How are you?
I'm well. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. What can we do for you?
Well, yes, I had a question I wanted to ask you guys about, like, a hypothetical. I do not come pretending to be able to scientifically prove the existence of God, but hypothetically, if I could prove to you guys that Jesus was and is Yahweh of the Old and New Testament, and he did what he said he did, he rose from the dead, he went back to heaven, he's coming again, would you guys worship and serve him and orient your hearts to love him?
So when you ask that question, sorry, Justin.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
Should I assume that all of Yahweh's actions in the Old Testament are literally true?
I mean, the ones that are written about literally, the ones that are written about
like the flood,
or
should
metaphorically.
Like the flood, do you, because this is where even I know that you're trying to ask a straightforward question, but it's not actually that straightforward, because how do I know which things you think are metaphorical?
I gotcha.
Things like
as literal.
The flood, yes. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah, the flood is a yes for literal.
Okay. And all of the laws of Moses and all of the genocides that happened, all of that literally happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few genocides that we could talk about how hyperbolic it was, whether it was kind of just the standard language of the time that didn't actually mean the total genocide of a people group. I don't want to quibble on that too much right now, but I mean, just the basics. I'm not asking you are the nicest parts of Yahweh the sweet sounding parts of Yahweh. I'm asking, generally speaking, everything.
Yeah, so if I am to read the Bible and assume everything is true, I could not get on board with worshiping Yahweh.
Okay.
Sure. Let me ask you a question, though, and then I'll answer yours. How's that?
Yeah.
If you died and found out that actually Satan is the highest God, he's actually pulling all the strings, and that Yahweh made the Bible his desperate attempt to trick people, and actually Satan's the one in charge, and he's going to burn you forever in hellfire because you couldn't figure it out, and he demands your worship. Like, would you worship Satan?
Well, that is a tough question, because I don't have a book that is written by Satan declaring to be his self-revelation. So that's a little bit of a harder question to answer.
Well, you don't need to.
Than the question I asked you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying if I died,
I'm just asking if you would worship him. Hey, if you died and you found out that Satan was actually in charge and he wants you to worship him, are you going to do it?
When you say in charge, what do you mean by that?
He's the highest God. He's even above Yahweh.
Well, I'd have to wrap my mind around that. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I was to find out 100% certain that Satan was actually the creator of the universe, the one who was orchestrating everything, and that he was the one who decided every single being's fate, then yes, I would worship him.
Oof.
But that's
wild.
Not quite the same. That's not quite the same.
You think Satan is the most evil entity that ever created, yet you would actually worship him if you found out he was in charge. That's pretty fucking wild.
Well, I don't think it's that wild, because you asked a very huge hypothetical. The reason I think that he's the most evil entity is because of what the Bible tells me, and the Bible tells me that Satan is not in charge.
Well, hypotheticals are not always. Hypotheticals are not true. You gave us a hypothetical.
On so many levels, it's a hypothetical on so many levels. It's really tough to even.
It's actually perfectly analogous.
Of this question is: do you worship God because He is good, or do you worship God because He is powerful?
Bingo.
Both.
Oof.
See, that's where you and I differ. I would not worship a God because he was powerful.
Okay, so I Sarah answered my question. I'll just reference her answer.
I could answer yours if you want me to now that you answered mine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd tell him to go fuck himself. Put me in the flames.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the honest answer. And I think you guys both just proved that Christianity is correct, actually, with your answer.
We didn't. What we did is we proved that we have moral grounding, and that moral grounding is that we personally don't think there's ever a good reason to do anything that the God of the Bible did, because we would classify that as pure evil. He literally sent an army to rip pregnant women open by the sword and smash their babies' heads against stones. You think that's what a loving God would do, to smash babies' heads on stones?
I'm not going to get into the specifics. If you don't mind, I'll go back to my first question.
I'm going to need you to answer my question.
I already answered your question. The one.
You did not.
Is it good? Do we want to go to? Do we want to go to?
Do you think it's good and loving to rip pregnant women open by the sword and smash their babies' heads on rocks?
It would depend what those women and babies were up to.
What?
What the babies was up to?
What? Are
Holy
you kidding?
Shit.
Wait, what would justify? What would the babies have done to justify that?
Well, so in I'm trying to think. I think it's in Jeremiah. God says that all flesh is mine. He claims every single life on the planet, and he is the one who has given life, and he is the one who will take away life. Whether you die in your sleep at 90, or if you die as a little baby, because your parents were messed up and went under the judgment of God. God's the one who gives life, and he can take it back anytime in any way that he wants. But the reason I said you guys proved Christianity is...
Well,
true.
I would like to
Is
do,
that-
and I hate to derail you, and I promise I'll let you get back to this bad talking point. What I was hoping to do is, because you're asking us about why we would or wouldn't worship this thing, and I think you probably understand why we don't want to worship this thing, but I just have like one more, like a line of a couple easy, like super easy yes or no questions, and then I'll turn it over to you to ask us questions, because I just want to finish the thought before we move on, right? Is that okay?
I don't believe you, but okay, go.
Well, you don't have to. Okay, so on the matter of what he says in Hosea 13:16 and says elsewhere, if God commands you to go and attack somebody and cut a pregnant woman open and take the baby out and smash its head against a stone, are you going to do it? And I already know that your first thing is going to say, well, he wouldn't do it. He would. It's totally within his nature, and God's nature doesn't change. And if you want to make it a big deal, then I'll just change the hypothetical and say that you're an ancient Israelite. So would you do it?
Thankfully, I would have a whole lot more context than you're giving to this.
Right, but would you do it?
It would depend on the context. It would depend on who was
Well, God told you
for
to.
God.
No, God himself spoke to you.
How do I? So God himself spoke to me, telling me, is it a random person? Is it just somebody who has zero connection with me at all?
I'm sorry, is it your job to question God?
God specifically
Absolutely.
told you.
God encourages questions. God encourages questions in Habakkuk.
Does God have to give you
rebuke people
answers
asking.
for you to obey him?
Yes. Yes, something like that I would require an answer from God to obey him.
Okay, well, he says that he doesn't like these people. They're very sinful, and he has to punish them. Now what?
Yeah, I'd probably, I mean, he would tell me why. That's the thing, is that
God
I
does
just
not
told you
do
why.
that
Going
all
in
the
blind.
time.
Yeah, I just told you why.
God,
They're
the
evil.
Israelites
I
were
don't
not-
want them.
the Israelites
I don't want
never
them to
went in
reproduce
blind.
at all. Joe, I'm not saying that. I gave you the reason. God told you that their lineage is evil, and he wants to wipe them out. They've done too many bad things.
Too many bad things.
Yeah, he's done. He's done with their lineage, and he's just going to cut it off.
Okay. I guess I would probably do that, just like we dropped A-bombs on Japanese people.
Gotcha. Okay,
And
so
just assume
thank
that
you for
somebody had a higher greater good.
Right. So thank you for answering the question. The only other follow-up question is what we know is that God, if you had the right information and God told you to cut a pregnant woman open and smash her baby's head on the stone, you would do that. Now, remember in Ezekiel where he made him cook bread over human dung. If God said, as a prophetic message, I need you to light the baby on fire, and then cook bread over the fiery baby as a performative prophecy to everyone looking, would you do that too?
I probably would not. I'm not a very
Really?
obedient Christian as it is.
That's
with
where you draw
my
the
own
line.
personal sexuality.
You draw the line in setting a dead body on fire, but not at ripping a pregnant woman open and smashing babies' heads on rocks.
No, I mean this is way bigger, way more. What's the word? Emotionally charged hypothetical question than what I asked you.
This is
So I
literally
just simply
what
asked you-
happens in the Bible. Like Justin is just asking, hey, if you were an Israelite in this situation, what would you do? Like he's not making up crazy
Yeah, but he
things.
hasn't named the situation. He hasn't named the situation.
He did. He
He's just
did
given
name
a
the
vague,
situation.
They're bad people. They're bad people, and I don't want them anymore. That's what he's saying.
That's what God did.
If the
That's what the
hypothetical
Israelites
if the
had.
hypothetical situation was that they didn't have it. They had way more than that. They knew.
I'm sorry.
Beyond a shadow of a
What
doubt
were
that
all
these
of the
people were
sins
killing
of
their
the
own
Sodomites?
children.
The Sodomites and the Gomorrahites. What were their sins? What were all of their sins? Did you get a full rundown of all their sins, or no?
Yeah, God didn't tell the Israelites to kill the Sodomites. God,
I'm not asking about that. God did it himself. Yeah, I'm aware, but was it pertinent to know all their sins?
We don't have to know everything that God knows for him to do what he does. That's the silly.
There you go. So God can do whatever the fuck he wants, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Oh, so if he told you to do something, your job is to obey.
I don't have to have perfect knowledge. That is my job, yep. But I frequently disobey.
Yeah, I believe that. I wish to disobey on baby smashing, but go ahead, Sarah.
Do you see how you have a different moral code than your God?
I don't think that I do. I think what Justin has done is he has imported a 21st century male.
No. You are hesitating here.
Hey, listen, I've never even killed a deer.
Cool. You are hesitating here because you know that it's a bad thing. You don't want to do this, which, by the way, is good, reasonable. I don't want to do that either. So you are trying to figure out, if God commanded me to do this, how could I make this okay in my brain? Which is why you are asking so many additional questions. The thing is, you worship a God who does this. God kills babies. God commands his followers to kill pregnant women, take out their babies, and kill the babies. You clearly think that that's wrong, but you worship a God who says that it's right.
Good. I want to respond by going back to the original hypothetical. I answered honestly. We all three answered honestly about the hypothetical.
I don't want you to dodge this question. No, we're going to stay here until you face this challenging point here.
Well, I didn't call in for that. So what is your ultimate grounding for saying that any of Yahweh's actions are wrong? I know that you guys don't like their actions. I know that all three of us
moral argument.
Have a visceral reaction.
You don't get to dodge my question. Joe.
Okay, what was your question?
Why do you worship a God that does things that you clearly think are wrong?
I do not clearly think anything God has done or commanded is wrong. And when there is something that he does or commands that I do feel is wrong, I try to orient my mind and my good and bad feeler to be in line with him. Because if he is, you don't have any grounds to say for certain that he has ever done anything wrong either.
When you hear the story that God commanded people to cut open pregnant women and smash their babies, what you're saying is, okay, this feels wrong to me. I think that that's wrong. But God is good and just. So now you, Joe, have to reorient yourself to think that, okay, I guess ripping women open and smashing their babies is sometimes okay. Even at the beginning of this part of the conversation, you said, well, it depends on what those women and babies were up to. So you are acknowledging that your baseline moral code says, hey, killing babies is bad, but God does it. So now you have to figure out how to rearrange your moral code to be okay with God commanding his followers to kill babies.
Right. Would you say that you can declare with great certainty that it is evil to kill somebody else?
He's trying to go to objective morals.
Oh yeah, 100%. We're doing objective morals.
No, I'm asking why. What gives you the license to mock my personal moral standard? Is your personal moral standard?
I'm I'm not
more
actually
deeply
mocking your
anchored in
personal
reality than
moral
mine?
standard. No, Joe, I'm trying to
you
affirm
are.
your personal moral standard. What I am shocked at is your willingness to abandon your personal moral standard to try to make it fit with Yahweh's. That's what I think the problem is. I bet you have a decent moral standard because you clearly don't think that killing babies is good. But now you're trying to finagle, okay, but Yahweh did it, so how can I make it good? That's what I have a problem with.
Right. So here's my headspace on that. If Yahweh is actually, and I believe he is, if he is actually the all-knowing creator of the entire universe, we're not talking about just our solar system or the Milky Way. We're talking about every last thing. Let me finish this.
Did you say if?
Because
the Bible doesn't say he is. The Bible says that he doesn't know things.
Oh my gosh. Can you let me finish my little thing, my little spiel?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay. If he is that powerful and all-knowing that he can orchestrate every atom in the universe, then I think I can trust him if my personal moral compass doesn't line up with his. I think I can say, okay, my moral compass might be out of whack. Whereas you guys, I asked you the hypothetical, if I could prove that Jesus is God, would you worship him? And you have the arrogance to say, no, your personal moral compass and the way you look at morality is higher than the one who created the heavens and the earth. And that
Damn
one who created the heavens and the earth.
Your arrogance and not wanting to smash babies' heads on rocks. That is such arrogance.
What man wants to do. Man wants to be God and define what is good and evil. And
we actually don't want to be God because God doesn't exist.
Even if hypothetically Christ is God, you would not bow your knee.
Well, let me ask you a better question, Joe.
Very interesting.
Let me ask you the same question. I want to add one thing to the question you said yes to earlier about worshiping Satan. If it happened that prior to you dying and going to meet Satan, just prior to that, he actually manifested on the earth and spent a whole week sexually assaulting your mother. Are you going to worship him?
Oh, am I going to worship him after I go?
Yeah, after you find out he's actually
meet him,
the
or
most
am I going to worship him when
powerful.
I see him assaulting?
Yeah, are you going to worship him ever after you die and go and meet him and after he's sexually assaulted your mother?
I mean, if again, this is such an enormous hypothetical.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I guess whichever being. So just to clarify, I know which being actually is the king of the whole universe. Whichever being is the king of the whole universe with all of the wisdom to create you and to create me, to create us to be able to have a conversation about moral rights and wrongs. That's the being that I will worship.
Did you read Ezekiel 20, where God said that he gave them bad commands? Did you think you have the ability to determine which of God's commands are good or bad?
You have to turn there and let me see what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Ezekiel 20 verses, I think 24 through 26 are the relevant verses. Yeah. So he says, 25, I gave them statutes that were not good and ordinances by which they could not live. I defiled them through their very gifts and their offering up of their firstborn in order that I might horrify them so that they might know that I am the Lord. So he's basically saying that God actually did command them to pass their children over the fire, just like, the Canaanites were doing, but it was in order to horrify them.
I'm sorry, I can't find it on myself. Ezekiel, what was the chapter?
Ezekiel 20, verse 25 and 26. No, verse 25 and 26, chapter 20.
Give me a second.
I find it
Okay, so it says,
concerning.
moreover, in verse 25, it says, moreover, I gave them statutes that were not good and rules by which they could not have life. I'm not sure what this means. I'll have to look into this. Justin, this is so good. This is why I call in.
I know, Joe. Listen, this is a reference to Exodus. Yeah, so Ezekiel was one of the first prophets to really dig through the Torah and quote it, or at least reference it extensively. And he references Exodus quite a bit. This is the verse in Exodus where God is basically demanding that they offer up their firstborn. And the way Ezekiel is reading this is that he did it. He did command that, but he did it to horrify them. So what that means is you don't actually know if all of the commands of God are good, because he could actually tell you to do something that was bad. And then also, 1 Kings 22, he sends a lying spirit to deceive. So you don't really know if God's commands are good. You're kind of assuming, aren't you?
No, I would have to look into this particular verse in Ezekiel. And that you're talking about, I don't understand it right off the bat here.
Well, what do you need?
I have been helped by a lot of it. I don't Paul in the New Testament, Peter in the New Testament talked about the law as being a yoke that nobody could bear up under, and that nobody can actually be justified or saved by the law.
Yeah,
and so there could be a sense in this verse here where it's just saying you guys can't actually get life by the law, and the statutes are not good because they don't actually bring you anything. You need something more than the law and the statutes.
Just go back one verse. It tells you why. Because they have not executed my ordinances. There you go. So they wouldn't obey my rules, so then I gave them bad rules.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, so that's there's examples of that. Like, there's rules.
Okay.
There's rules that Jesus hated, like the rule about divorce. Jesus said, God said, I hate divorce.
That's a whole nother topic, but
your heart, I gave you.
Yes, I know, Matthew 19, we've all read it. We're aware. That's beside the point. The point is, you don't actually know if God's commands to you or anyone else are good. He can give you bad commands, and you have no way of knowing it.
I can go back to kind of the foundational commands, and if I'm totally rejecting those, if the flow chart goes downhill from there, if I reject the command about do not commit adultery, and then I get myself in a situation where there's an additional command about writing a divorce certificate, I can know that second command is not good because I should have obeyed the first command about not committing adultery.
How do you know the first command is the good one, not the bad one?
Because God said, if he lives by these, who keeps these shall live by them.
So how do you know that was the good one?
I would say, based on the number of commands in Scripture, what Jesus says about the commands, and the fact that you've got basically one interesting example here. I would have to look into this. I'm not going to take this at immediate face value without understanding the context better. Maybe I'll call in again once I understand it better.
You're welcome to do so.
Is it right in your guys' eyes to misrepresent scientific facts? Is that something that's good?
No, but
in your eyes,
in the New Oxford Annotated Study Bible on verse 25 and 26, it says, the people must have been using the law of the firstborn, Exodus 22 and 34:19, to legitimate. Legitimate child sacrifice. Ezekiel interprets this. It doesn't say legitimize. That's what's confusing. It actually says legitimate child sacrifice. I think whoever wrote this has a different vocabulary. Ezekiel interprets this turn of events as a negative use of God's law. God may use such laws to demonstrate people's rebelliousness and even to harden them in it. So he's saying, yeah, God gave this bad law to sacrifice their children, and it's just what I said. It's a reference to Exodus, chapter 22. The command should be, I believe, in verse 29.
Joe, do you think you can tell what is good versus what is evil?
I think I'm growing in that. What about you guys?
So my
Because I don't think
confusion,
you guys actually believe in good and evil.
Sure, I'm trying to meet you where you are and use your terminology.
Okay.
So do you think that God is good?
Yes, I believe God is the only possible definition of good. I believe any other definition of good is super subjective, and if you just go to a different continent or a different century, your good and bad are going to be completely flipped upside down, and you have no foundation to stand on.
Okay, so you think why do you think God is good?
Well, so good is that which is ultimate. Good is whatever, ultimate. I mean, so for instance, if I save an ant, but I have to kill a child to do it, then that wasn't good, even though I saved an ant. So good is a reference to what is ultimate.
But why? Why is it not good? Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
You're using the word ultimate, I think, maybe not to describe what you mean. The example you described is that goodness would be doing the least amount of total harm. Is that what you mean?
Or the least amount of total harm, or the greatest amount of glory and honor to whatever ought to have glory and honor.
Wait, glory. So the definition of goodness is wrapped up in glory, not like kindness or compassion?
Kindness is part of it, but God speaks of creating the entire universe to be to the glory of His grace, which includes His kindness. But it's like narcissism. It's all about the ultimate person.
So you think the definition
you take that same example.
The definition of good then is just whatever your God is, you use the word good to describe it?
Yes, I mean that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, so to me that makes the word sort of meaningless. It just means whatever traits your God has, we use this word to describe those traits. Typically, as we use that word in the English language, we're using the word good to describe something that is beneficial or wholesome or, kind or compassionate. But what you're doing is you're saying it's not that God has any particular characteristics. It's just that He's God. And I worship God because He's God, not because He has any positive characteristics.
Well, I'm sorry, you've misunderstood, or that I didn't speak clearly. God puts Himself forward as being both just and merciful. That's good. He puts Himself forward as being one who will willfully forget iniquity of people and will refuse to forget the iniquity of other people, depending on how they respond to His Son. So goodness in our universe correlates directly to the one who created it. Just like you might say If I make a painting, that
Wait, so
painting
just
is
so
good
I understand your
based on what
position,
I
then
think of it.
you think that God is good because of what he does. Like you can see his actions and you say, okay, I understand what this God is like, and I think this God is good. Is that correct?
Yes, it's not entirely based on what I can see, but yes, it is based greatly on what I can see. But I would say there's way more that I cannot see.
I mean, what you
than that I can
know,
see.
what you believe about this God, right? Like you read about his actions in the
Yeah.
Bible, and you've read his actions, and
Mhm.
you've said, okay, these are good actions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But a lot
So
of that is a very child. Jesus said you've got to come to the kingdom as a child, and so just like when a small child gets
Do children know
instructions
right
by
from
their
wrong?
parent, they don't always know. They don't always know if that instruction is good. They don't always have the logical or mental ability to determine whether that's a good order. But if their parent has
That's the
typically
point.
been good, they will follow the order and just go on faith that their parent is still got things in control. And that's what I do with the things I don't understand about God. Is I go on the faith of those things that I do understand. I base what I don't understand on the things that I do understand, and know that God is the ultimate reason for the universe, and he is the ultimate end and goal of the universe. And so anything that shows him or gives him glory is good.
Well, I think what we demonstrated to you is that with that perspective, you are willing to commit atrocities if your God commands you to do them. And I think it
What's your
should be a red
definition of
flag
atrocity?
to you that following this God may cause you to violate your own moral code. If you want to give the example of a parent and a child, if I were to tell my child not to do something simply that they don't understand, but to do something that child thinks is bad and wrong, I would owe that child a lot of explanation, specific explanation to them personally to help them understand what I am commanding, because that's a really big deal to try to command your child to do something that child thinks is wrong. And I would actually understand if a kid disobeyed their parent, if their parent said, like, I want you to go steal this for me. Like maybe the kid would say, no, that's wrong. I'm not going to do that. So it is frightening to me to watch you say, yes, I will do whatever God commands, because I'm going to now turn off my brain and say, well, I guess I don't have good moral reasoning. And no matter how many people I hurt, no matter how much harm I cause to others, if God commands it, I'm going to do it.
Okay, well, I appreciate you expressing your concern. I think your concern is coming from a point of feet planted firmly in midair. I don't see. There's zero weight to your concern because it doesn't come from any place of deep meaning. It comes from your personal societal biases that cannot possibly have any more weight than my personal societal biases.
That's right. We disagree on that.
I'm assuming that you guys would.
Joe, buddy.
Would you guys consider all of most of the American Indians?
Hey, hold on. You said something, and I want to address it because you've said it like 3 times now. You're suggesting that our morals can't be like as good as the ones you have because yours essentially are objective. They come from God, but you don't have objective morals. Like if your God made the morals, then they're still subjective. You understand that, right?
Am I unmuted?
I unmuted you now.
Oh, sorry, you were.
I muted him because he was not listening to you.
No, I did not say that your morals, that mine were better than yours. I said that yours cannot be better than mine.
Why not?
Because you have yet to demonstrate any sort of superior foundation to your morals.
Well, that's what we're getting to. So your morals come from God. First question, you do understand that you still have subjective morals, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so both of us have subjective morals. Now you want to obey those morals. Why? What's your motivation for obeying these?
Because I found that when I submitted to the giver of those morals at age 14, I became a radically different, better, more loving person. I know you've tricked me into making myself look like a monster with the question about ripping the
No,
mail.
you did that on your own.
But you should have met me before I came to Christ. I would actually have physically done harm to people. And God changed me, the one who gave this moral code.
Well, you still will.
From the inside out, where I didn't have to force myself.
You didn't change.
To stop.
You still will injure innocent people.
Yeah, now you'll just do it as long as God tells you to. Nothing
changed.
Yeah, and it's a very radical hypothetical. How many Christians do you know who have ever done that?
Shall we take a history lesson?
I can list a whole lot more. I can list a whole lot more Christians who have begun hospitals and given homes to the homeless than any that you can ever list that have done, who have ripped people open.
What are you talking about? Listen, I don't know if you knew about the Inquisition. I don't know if you knew about the early church, like literally murdering people that didn't convert, or the conquistadors. I don't know if you knew about any of those things, but the church has done horrific things. But that's not really relevant. That's not really relevant. Well, that's where the church started. That's not really relevant to what we're talking about. So, just to be clear, your motivation for following God's subjective morals rather than using your own brain is because your life got better. Is that it?
So, just a second. Did you think that my brain is a better? You think my brain is a good grounding for morality?
I'm asking you. I'm merely asking you a yes or no question. Is the only reason you're following?
I got distracted by the assumption that my brain is a better moral grounding.
Right. It is your motivation. Your primary motivation for following God's moral commands just because your life got better. Because when I asked you why, that was the only thing you told me.
No, that was the primary subjective experience.
Okay, so the question is, why do you follow God's moral precepts other than your life improved? Because that's all you've given us so far. Mm-hmm. Like if I asked, why should I follow God's moral precepts, what would be the answer?
Because he created you, and he knows what is best for your body and mind and soul.
Oh, so that's the assumption. Why would we think that he knows what's best for us, or he even cares about what's best for us?
Because the God of the Bible is a communicative God. He has spoken very clearly that he cares about us.
So, again, how do you know that he does actually care about you?
By both reading the scripture and my personal experience.
Okay, so again, it all comes down to personal experience and feelings, because you don't even know if the scriptures are true. So, to be sure, if the scriptures are true, then your main motivation for following these morals is, one, you think that they're going to make your life better, and two, I guess what, you're afraid of going to hell? You're afraid of God punishing you?
I'm not afraid of God punishing me anymore.
Okay. So, if you're not a Christian, what's the motivation for following God's morals?
Because that's logical, and
how?
Well, if he is your creator, since he is your creator, it makes no sense to go against someone so powerful as to be able to create you. If he created your brain, it'd be ridiculous to say your brain is better than him.
It's survival then? It's not about being better. You don't know if God actually has good intentions. You're assuming it. So this is the point. You don't know that God has good intentions for you. Whether he's the most powerful thing or not is actually irrelevant. He hasn't. No, he hasn't. You think that he does because you have Stockholm syndrome. No, he hasn't.
He's proven. If you read Genesis chapter 3 and then the Gospel,
I've read it.
It's plain as day that God has shown that he cares about me deeply. He could not. But
you don't know if that's true. He cares about me deeply. If God was evil, he would tell you that he's good. How do you know that God's good? You're going to come up with a really dumb answer. Let me ask you a shorter answer. Let me ask you a shorter question.
Yeah, so we went.
If God was evil, say God was evil, could you ever know it?
Well, the definition of good and evil would be very different if God were evil.
I'm asking you if he was. If God wasn't good, he was the most powerful being in the universe, and he only created anything because he wanted to hurt it, harm it, do terrible things to it because he's actually not good. How would you know if he was good or not?
Yeah, I guess, in that hypothetical situation, if God just created everything for some sort of maniacal pleasure and created us with brains that reflected that maniacal pleasure, we wouldn't know it.
There you go.
But
so
that's not our experience. Our experience is
you are assuming that God is good rather than actually knowing that God is good.
Good gifts from
it doesn't matter. No, you're describing them as good. And again, if God was evil, it's not like you'd never have anything good. How could God torture you if you didn't have your five senses? Someone being evil doesn't mean everything that has ever happened through them is horrible. Even Hitler, I'm sure, patted some babies' heads and kissed a few babies and handed out gifts to children. If God was evil, he's not going to do everything fucking horrific towards you. So again, you have no way of knowing if God is good or evil. You have to assume that shit.
Okay, but by the same token, you have to assume that good and evil can have even a definition apart from God being its grounding.
Actually, it does have a definition in the dictionary, and what you'll find out is God isn't actually listed. So the word good and the word bad are actually subjective. They are in the dictionary as subjective definitions. And again, you are subjectivist. You're just saying that you believe in God's subjective goodness. And I'm saying, actually, I don't think God's subjective goodness is good. So if all we really have is these subjective moral claims,
so it means absolutely nothing.
So is yours. No, yours is subjective too.
But my subjective, what it's coming from is coming from the author of existence itself, who does not change.
But you, he does, but you don't know
a lot more durable.
But again, you don't know he's good.
More durable than your definition would be.
So
Joe, you don't know that he's good.
All you have demonstrated or discussed is that you follow God because you think he created everything and that he's very powerful. But
and he's good.
You are but you said there it is.
My brothers and sisters that I know.
Got it. Good to you. Okay, well that changed.
Hitler was Hitler good because he was good to the SS officers, or what?
So you follow God because he's powerful and because he makes your life better, but neither of those things actually determine whether he is good. So if goodness just means God's nature, then it is, again, essentially meaningless. Goodness has to do with the effect of your actions. Do your actions cause harm? And God's actions in the Bible do cause harm. And so what you find yourself doing is kind of flip-flopping what goodness means so that you can fit God into it. But it seems like you are just worshiping and following God because he's powerful. And so what we're trying to demonstrate to you is that worshiping a God simply because he is powerful is not following goodness. You're just following power.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Sarah.
So Sarah, in response to that, I remember logging into one of your TikTok chats, and you were unable, from your worldview, to even declare definitively that being a serial unaliver was not beautiful. You were unable to do that. From your
It's a
not
category error.
beautiful? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you were talking
So
about what
I
is beautiful.
define like good
so
and
what I'm
bad
saying,
based on the amount of harm that is caused. So if someone is
Okay.
serially causing harm, then I can say they are causing a lot of harm. And I think that that is very bad.
yeah,
You,
okay.
on the
That
other
sounds
hand,
really
cannot.
concrete and impressive. That you
You
think it's bad.
cannot do that though, because if you watch a person serially unalive people, you don't know if that's good or bad. Because what you need to know is, did God command that or not? So you can't just look at a serial killer and automatically say they're bad, because what if the person who's doing the serial killing, well, what if they're just killing sinners and God commanded them to do it? You have no idea whether that person is doing something good or bad.
Okay, I don't have a response for that.
Right. So that's the difference here. The problem is, if you are following divine command theory, your only underlying principle is obedience. That's it. Whereas my moral code is based on, how do my actions affect other people? But you don't even have to consider that. All you have to consider is, am I obeying God? And no matter how much harm you cause, it's irrelevant as long as you're obeying God.
Yeah, so to an extent, I can agree with you to an extent. Part of that is because we know from human history that humans are perfectly capable of thinking they are doing good when in fact they are doing harm, because they don't have all the information. Now, I'm not trying to say that there's no such thing as a black and white situation, but there's thousands of events where people have genuinely thought they were doing good when they were actually doing harm. And so our ability to look at a situation and determine, is this going to ultimately do good or harm, is far from a guarantee that good is actually going to be done in the end. The only one who can look at a situation and see all the ripple effects that's going to happen
like a
from
person
that
who's
is the
going to
one who
do their
created the world in the
best
first place.
to not cause harm, or a person who is going to obey their God no matter what, give me the person who's going to do their best to not cause harm. But listen, Joe, we've been, it's been about an hour almost, and we do have some other callers. So I do think we do have to move on to some other people. But I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you, Joe.
Thanks
it's
for
been
the
a hot
insight
minute.
into Ezekiel 20. I will look into that.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Listen, I'm glad you called in here. I haven't heard you on my channel in a while. I kind of started to miss you a little bit. But also, please do consider tonight when you go to bed, like what is happening in your life that you feel like you could smash a baby's head against the stone after you cut his mother open with a sword, but then you couldn't pull the trigger on cooking it.
Hey, I appreciate your heartfelt counsel to me.
Sure thing.
All right. Have a good night, Joe.
Yeah, all right. Y'all too. Bye.
Bye.
You know, Sarah, when he called, the gnat right in front of my face, when he called in, I was like, I know that voice. I have absolutely talked to that voice. And then after we got into like the first discussion about the Bible, I was like, it's the Joe, the one that calls my channel. So I thought he was done. I thought he was done with the apologetic circuit.
I guess he's back.
Right?
All right. We now have Derek is a theist from Pennsylvania. Hello, Derek. Welcome in.
Can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
Hello? Okay, I just want to make sure I had you on mute there for a second. Sorry.
No worries.
Well, what can we do for you?
I got a question for you. Can you show me in Hosea 13:16 where it's a commandment to do this thing?
No, God says he's doing it, but would you like me to show you where God declares that he's having it done?
He doesn't even say that he's doing it.
Yeah, he
doesn't
does.
even say that he's doing it there. It's not a commandment. No, it's not.
I'll show you. Would you like me to show you?
Samaria shall be utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
For she was resisted. She has resisted her God, right?
Yeah.
They shall fall by the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Their infants shall be dashed against the ground.
Yep.
And their pregnant women ripped open.
You got it.
Where's the commandment?
It's not a commandment. It's something that God
Where's
did.
The commandment?
It's not a commandment.
No
one said it. Nobody said it was. It's prophecy that God is doing. Verse 9, I will destroy you, O Israel. Who can help you? Where now is your king that he may save you? Where in your cities are your rulers? He's doing this to it. He's causing it to happen.
You said verse 9.
Yeah. I mean, you can read further back even. You can say, verse 7, I will become like a lion to them. Like a leopard, I will lurk beside the way. I will fall upon them like a bear robbed of her cubs. And I will tear open the covering of their heart. There I will devour them like a lion, as a wild animal would mangle them. God's so mad that he's saying, I'm going to go fuck them up.
Mm-hmm.
So that means God is using an invading army to punish them. Nope. He doesn't say that he's allowing it. He explicitly said... He explicitly says that he's doing it. Would you like me to read you the verses where he takes credit for it?
No, I would actually. What I would like you to do is.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to read those verses either. You can actually see it in Isaiah, the famous passage 7. If you go down to verse 16 and 17, it says, the Lord will bring on you and on your people and on your ancestral house such days as have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, the king of Assyria. So what did God say he's bringing? I didn't mute anyone. Sarah might have.
No, I didn't mute you. I'm just letting you go.
Oh, no one muted him then.
Yeah, so no, he's not muted.
In verse 17, what did God say he's doing?
You're not acknowledging me. You're not acknowledging me.
I was talking. Why would I acknowledge you while you're talking over me?
Because you're talking about things don't even matter. It's all irrelevant.
No, I'm actually proving my point. I'm proving the point, which is that the army only came there because God brought them.
God allowed them to go there, yes. God allowed them to be invaded.
He specifically brought them there with his own doing. Would you like me to continue showing those verses to you?
No, I don't, because
no, don't read the Bible to me.
You have any right
to read the Bible? I don't have looking eyes.
How about you let me finish what I'm going to say? How about you? You won't even let me finish what I'm saying here, dude.
Yeah, because you're wanting to go off topic. Listen, we were talking about whether or not God is responsible for bringing the Assyrians to do the war. And you're saying he's actually not doing that. You're saying he only allowed it, but that's not what God says. God didn't say I'm allowing it. God says I'm causing it.
You know what? Here, I'm going to grant you all of what you're saying right now.
Awesome.
I grant you your interpretation.
Because it's true.
So
no, it's not an interpretation. It just says it. I'm not interpreting it. It just says it. No, I'm sorry. When God says I'm doing something, is he doing it? Is he the cause of it?
No, not always.
Not always. When God says I'm gonna do something, God isn't the impetus for the thing being done. Holy shit! You heard it here. Words definitely don't mean words.
Why don't you finish? You don't let people finish talking, do you?
Actually, what I'm doing is quickly demonstrating. No one's scared of you, that's for sure. I'm quickly demonstrating how silly this is.
Hey, listen, well, then let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying. If you're not scared, then let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and finish, and then I'm sure it'll be just as bad as if you hadn't.
That's what she said.
Whenever God said that he hardened Pharaoh's heart, Did he harden Pharaoh's heart, or did Pharaoh's heart harden because of the presence of God?
It's actually both. In the Hebrew text, it's actually in the causative stem, which would be translated as God caused his heart to be hard.
Yes, because...
Oh, you never bothered to read. Oh, no.
What the fuck are you even talking about, dude? Are you retarded? I didn't even say
we don't use that word here. Like, I understand that we're debating here, but don't call people that. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, but please show me one verse where being in the presence of God causes somebody's heart to be hard just because they're in God's presence. Do you think that being in God's presence automatically hardens someone's heart?
Well, it depends on how their heart is oriented to begin with.
So, yes or no?
It depends on how their heart is oriented to begin with.
I'm aware. Do you think that people's hearts can be hardened just by means of him or her being in God's presence?
It depends on where their heart is oriented.
I'm aware. That's why I said some,
I don't know what you want
not
me to
all. You should listen. I didn't say all people. I said some.
Right, and it's going to be the same answer all the time.
It's actually not going to be the same answer. The answer to the question is yes. According to what you said previously, some people will have their hearts hardened in the presence of God, and some people won't have their hearts hardened by being in the presence of God. That would be the right answer.
Why are you so disrespectful?
I'm not.
I'm sorry. Derek, do you really want to talk about being disrespectful with the word that you just used?
No, I'm talking about being disrespectful because you said I was disrespectful. But you guys have been interrupting me the whole time.
We did no such thing.
Come on now. Yes, you have.
We did not do that. Time. We absolutely did not just call you disrespectful.
Yes, you have.
Nope.
Yes, you did.
No, we didn't.
What are you talking about? Sarah just called me disrespectful.
I said
you said it.
It's very
Derek, I said, do you want to talk about being disrespectful after the word you just used? That is what I said.
Oh my God, it was in response. I think you guys are on spectrum.
It was actually in response to...
I'm done, Derek.
It was actually in response to you calling us disrespectful. Wait, did he just equate being on the spectrum with the R word?
Oh God, did he? I was in the middle of hanging up on
it. He said, now I know you guys really are on the spectrum. Oof. That's crazy. Imagine being a grown-ass adult. He's 42 years old. And he's literally equating those two things. Also,
embarrassing.
We just don't use that word anymore.
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
Well, if he had bothered to read the text or even a single commentary, he would notice that when God says, I'm doing it, that's when he's doing it. When God says he hardened his own heart, that means he hardened his own heart, which it does say that in text.
Yeah, we actually have a whole episode about that in our Bible study where we talk about that chapter in Exodus.
True.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff on it if anyone is interested.
Well, we have Charlie left, and I'm going to take a guess. I don't know if Charlie's going to be as combative as Derek.
That would be delightful. Alrighty. Yep. We are going to bring Charlie on. Charlie is 29 from Arizona. Hi, Charlie. Welcome in.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi. Good. What can we do for you?
Well, I was just listening. I grew up going to church and stuff, and I kind of learned stuff through my mom. I've never read the Bible ever. I look at it as a book about leadership. Really, I think that's I'm not all those stories that I've never even heard about. But I believe in God. I think God is real, but I don't think He has any set rules of doing anything. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't know. I think it's different for every person.
Is there something you want to discuss or disagree with us on, or?
Oh, yeah. I agree with you guys. And also the first guy, too, he was talking about from a Bible perspective, everything he's saying was about based from the Bible. And I feel Satan or the devil is that could be anyone. It could like, you know, and it's within us. And like, I don't know. I know like aliens and stuff exist. Like I've seen aliens like in my life, and I've seen crazy stuff. So it's like, I don't know. Like my whole faith in it was like completely shook in a way, and like the only way that I can like really get through my life without going crazy was just not knowing that.
Charlie,
What?
can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you saw these experiences, were you in like a dream state or on substances or what?
No, it was in like at night. Like I wasn't seeing it. Like I saw them there. It was a really weird experience. Like I guess like there was tons of them. There was tons of like different aliens. I think like there's like so many different types. Like and some of them, not most of them don't even look like us, but I think we come from something that looks like us, that's older than us. That's like, I feel like that's what people consider God. Because like, oh, well, I mean, you know, like, have you heard of Anunnaki or stuff like that?
I know about
like,
the Anunnaki, but you haven't. The Anunnaki is one of those things where the traditional Mesopotamian stories have been greatly misunderstood by Zacharias Stitchins. The Anunnaki weren't the ones that came down like the Watchers. They were called the Apkallu, and he just wasn't familiar enough with the text to know that. He's a goofball. You should never have watched Ancient Aliens.
Oh, no. I mean, I had a teacher who, like, studied Sumerian, and, like, he was just talking about Sumerian. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about. I don't know. I guess, like, you would call them Anunnakis, or some people call them. I don't know what you would call them, but I think that we came from something that looks like us. And that's when you're saying, like, or God, whatever. I think, like, the whole Bible is kind of just, like, stories passed down, and, like, stuff gets lost, and, like, people talking, and, like, I don't know, like, everybody, the people who wrote the Bible never even met Jesus, I don't think. Like, it's, like, heard stories about people who did meet him. Or,
so the question that I think both of us are probably having is, you've seen angels and aliens and things like that. How could you verify this experience? I'll tell you why I'm asking. I've got a really good friend on TikTok. We've been in the same deconstruction space for a long time, and he used to see things like that. And then it turned out that he actually needed medication because he was having psychotic episodes. When he got the right medication, he stopped experiencing angels and aliens and things like that. Do you think possibly that you might be experiencing what he did?
No, because like I don't have them anymore, but I like had pictures too. Like I know I saw them. Like I did have maybe problems before, but I've never seen anything. Like I've never seen. Yeah, no.
But he did too.
I mean, I'm just telling you, like you can believe it or not.
So.
I mean, like I can't have any way to verify it.
My point's very clear. Is like when you have a break from reality, you don't know that it's happening. That's the point. You have no way of knowing.
Yeah, no, I thought it was. I really wanted to believe that it was a break from reality. Like that, they're so weird, and they move in such a way that like when you do see them, like they can fuck with our perception of them. Like I don't know. I can't really verify it. All I know is that like I didn't want to believe it, and like I thought that could be happening to me, but like I don't even know. Like a lot of people, it sounds so crazy. But you know, I think that like really it's just about like you know, like guiding us in the right way. You know,
just to be clear,
which is like, you know,
Charlie, the thing that we're trying to figure out, I don't know if we need to know the details of your experience, right? The thing we're trying to figure out is how do you know that your experience really happened as opposed to just being in your head?
I mean, like I took a video. I had videos of it, and then I deleted it because I didn't want to like have it. But I was watching them the next day. I've had them for like
videos of aliens,
and, like pictures and like
but you deleted the evidence.
You know, and what?
So that sounds to me like somebody who was having a psychotic episode.
It does sound like that. That's why I don't really talk about it, but. I mean,
my point is,
I just wanted to say because, like,
I just want to, Charlie, I promise you, I'm not coming at this bad faith. As someone who has a family member who, we used to call it schizophrenia. I don't know what they call it today. some sort of I don't know the medical term, but when you have these, not really. No, it's a different. I wish Dr. Joe was here; she'd know. But the reality of the thing is, like when you have these types of conditions, you never know that you have them until someone tells you, or you see a medical professional. You could never know one way or another whether or not this is a thing. So all I'm saying is,
none of us really know like anything. Really.
But my point is, maybe it would be helpful to talk to a medical professional.
Or anything. I already have.
Okay,
and I know that's not a problem, and like I know you want to think that, but I mean, I like whatever way you want to chalk it up as, like, I mean, I can't really talk about this experience too much because I mean, like, it was a really weird experience, and like I do have verification about it, but like I don't need it. I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
All I'm gonna say is that live in like kind of a, people say simulation, right? Like I think of it more of as like a dream. Like our perception of everything is like all in our head. It's all projection that we sense. Right? And I don't know. So like I don't know if anything is real. Nobody knows really if anything is real. Like all we know is that we exist. You know?
Oh boy.
Like,
yeah. Well, listen, Charlie,
I mean, I'm not trying to...
I appreciate you calling in. I think, I totally understand if you're, not wanting to or able to verify your experience. I get that. But then I think there's just maybe not much more we can talk about. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to talk about my experience. I thought there would be more similar people on. I mean, like, and like, I don't really agree completely with the church. Like, I think the church is just a church, Like, it's not our direct pathway to God. Even if you're, like, worshiping the devil, like, you're still worshiping God because God created the devil, Like,
okay. Well, we appreciate you calling in, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Oh, boy. I won't say too much about that.
Yeah, I think that was out of our league.
Yeah, I think he needs to talk to somebody in a different field.
Okay, so we have closed our call-in lines, and we are now going to read your super chats, which we are super jazzed about. Okay. Okay, and Justin, can you see these two? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So our first one is $9.99 from Peace, Love, and Cake. I'm currently reading the Bible cover to cover for the first time and just finished the Pentateuch. Deuteronomy 24:16 would be great kindling for cooking Christians on what was done to the Amalekites.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them too, by the way, Peace, Love, and Cake. Deuteronomy 20 tells you to completely annihilate them. There's quite a few passages that talk about the horrors that were going to be inflicted on them. It's hard to listen to sometimes because you remember, like, these are actually real people. Like, if you put yourself back in history and think, like, oh, this actually just could have been, like, my neighbors. Oh, it's a horrific thing to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
I think our next one's from Misha. Yeah, there you go. Misha, hey, good to see you, my friend. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for $20 super chat. Best duo, Sara and Justin. Thank you. Let's get some DEvangelicals song going. Actually, we do need a theme song for DEvangelicals.
We do.
Maybe find somebody musical. The small voice Sara mentioned might just be society telling women to do that, I think. Much love to you both.
Oh,
do you remember what she's referring to?
The very beginning of the show, when I was saying that I'm a rule follower and you're a rule breaker, and that I do wonder if that's also like culturally gendered, that like we are kind of cultured as women to be more rule followers than men are. So that makes sense. So. Yeah. Another one from Misha. Thank you. Misha says, joining a church for community and friendships is like going to the dentist to get lollies at the end of the visit. definitely not the point or even a main feature, and there are much easier ways to get what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, that checks out. Misha's on top of it. Hey, Duke, thank you for the super chat for the hell of it. Hey, we appreciate that. And you know what? I'll see you in hell as well. We're going to have a great time.
It's where all the cool people are.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hot people.
From Kurt Fell, Whore's rule: if you don't know on mobile, paste the link in a browser, then open in the app. It will stream in the horizontal format.
Wait, say what now? Listen,
I don't know.
Whore's rule: if you don't know on mobile, paste the link in a browser and then open the app. It will open the stream. Well, it'll open a vertical stream in a horizontal black box.
But
not
that's
going to
still
switch the
preferable to
format.
some people. Like if you have YouTube Premium that allows you to put the phone screen to sleep but still listen. Like there's reasons why I could see people wanting that workaround still. But we are working on it,
Gotcha.
everybody. We'll have horizontal soon. I'll talk to Jimmy about it in our meeting this week. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know. We do it for all the other shows. I'm confused why we're not doing it for this show. I'm gonna hit him up.
Just because I'm not on top of it. It's literally entirely because I haven't been proactive about making sure I know how to do it.
No worries. Mine keeps playing. I keep saying this because everyone says the same thing. Mine's still playing on the vertical. I just turned the screen off. That's my screensaver, and it's still going. I don't know who's having trouble with this, but it's never been a problem on
Put your
mine.
phone to sleep, like not to sleep,
What's
but like
that?
if the screen goes black, does it still play?
Yeah, completely black right now.
Do you
Still
have
going.
YouTube Premium?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the thing. Oh wait. So they fixed it? You can do the verticals on YouTube Premium now? Oh, that's sick.
I always have. I've never once been not being able to do it. This might be something for people who don't have premium, maybe.
Yeah, but
I
then
don't
they would
know.
still be having that issue on the horizontal anyway. Yeah, regardless, whatever. We're working on it.
Right.
Either way, we're working on it.
Let's see. Oh, we're on Misha. I read the last one. This is Sarah. Okay.
Oh, me? Oh, okay. Misha, thank you again. Listening to someone like Irene makes me appreciate science communicators like Sara, Forrest, Erica even more, because it is a tough time to be deep in really scientific ideas and be able to clearly communicate to lay people. That is absolutely true. Science communication is genuinely a difficult skill to master.
True. Cruisies. Hey, Undergirl, great to see you, friend. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Hi, guys. Hope you're well. We are. How much do I need to donate to get a horizontal stream? Listen, rumor has it that it's in the works. Just got here. Sorry.
If you pay me
already
$100,
talked about
I'll bring it up in the meeting this week.
Ooh!
You know what? We're gonna have to start pounding Jimmy on this one. Please pet Ruby and Checkers for me. Aw.
Oh, do you guys want to see Checkers? She's a little under the weather. She got spayed today. Hang on. Oh, hey.
Yes, do I want to see your absolutely high rabbit? Yes.
Sweet.
Uh,
Here you go. Okay. Oh, my microphone's in the way. Well, Checkers says hello.
How stoned is that rabbit right now?
A little bit. Yeah, she's
Just a little.
she's on some drugs. Misha says, thank you, Misha. Sara, I asked about the llamas before, but please tell us what looks like a fancy frog. Yes, I did. So up here, if anyone is interested, I painted llamas. Those are 2 llamas. And then it is exactly that. Yes, it is a fancy frog that has a little blackberry on his head. And the frog's name is Elmer, if you are interested.
And from Lenny, hey, good to see you, Lenny. Justin, I haven't heard Babyface in so long, and that guy was definitely Babyface. Well, here's the thing. I actually was planning on it, and I thought to myself, well, he already committed to smashing a baby's head on a stone, and I was like, and I'm fairly certain that I babyfaced him once in the past, so I had to come up with something new. I was going to progressively work worse and worse, but when he got to the point where he's like, no, I wouldn't cook a baby to make my bread, I was so befuddled why that was the point where that was the bridge too far. Like, what?
That was super weird. I agree.
I was shocked. I think that's our last one, right?
That's the end of our super chats, and apparently my internet connection is shitting itself. So now's a great time to say goodbye.
All right. Well, as a reminder, there are shows nearly every day of the week. So please tune in to the upcoming shows, and you can see those on the line. There's also a Patreon. Please join the Patreon. You can get extra like material and shows and lectures. I did one of those like extra lectures and talked about the role of high control religion on your nervous system. So like we get in there and talk about our areas of expertise. And there is merch as well if you're interested. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Lux, for being our producer. And Justin, thank you as always for co-hosting. And thank you everyone. Yeah, for staying and listening. I really appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends. Come back next week.